Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into Andrea Lunsford's EasyWriter to show you how you can become a more powerful and effective communicator. Because let's face it, in a world this noisy, making your voice heard is more important than ever. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with why writing is such a huge opportunity. Then we'll get into the nuts and bolts, the core writing process, how to build a killer argument, and understanding the power that language holds. And we'll wrap up by talking about how to get your work out there and really make an impact.
All right, let's kick things off with a big why. Why is writing so much more than just another assignment? Well, it's because it's a fundamental way we connect with the world.
Lunsford really kicks things off with this powerful call to action. She's not talking about writing as some boring chore. She's framing it as an absolutely essential response to a world that's filled with division and, a ton of misinformation. It's all about jumping into the conversation, not hiding from it.
So, the big takeaway here, sharpening your writing skills isn't just about getting a good grade. It's about you becoming an active, thoughtful participant in society. Connecting your ideas to the bigger conversations happening all around us.
Okay, so that's the why. Now let's get practical. How do you really go from that scary blank page to a solid first draft? Well, it all starts with a core process that honestly anyone can use.
It boils down to this super clear 3-step roadmap. First up, exploring. This is where you just list out what you know, and just as important, what you don't know yet. Then you move into planning, just sketching out a rough outline. And finally, you draft. And remember, the first draft is not supposed to be perfect. It's all about being flexible and just letting those ideas flow.
But wait, it's not just about the words on the page, right? Effective communication is also about how it looks. Simple design ideas, like using repetition to create a consistent feel or a pop of color for emphasis, aren't just for graphic designers. These are powerful tools that any of us can use to guide our reader's eye and make sure our message really lands with a punch.
In speaking of design, choosing the right visual, that's a total power move. A pie chart can show how parts make up a whole in a way a paragraph of text just can't. A bar graph makes comparing things instantaneous. So you gotta stop thinking of visuals as just decoration. They're not. They're a strategic, direct way to make your point hit home way more powerfully than words alone ever could.
All right, so we've got a draft. Now what? Let's zoom in on what is really the heart of so much of our writing, building a strong, persuasive, and ethical argument.
Here's the thing. A truly strong argument has to start with an arguable statement. It can't be just a plain fact that everyone already agrees on. No, it's got to be a claim that doesn't have an easy answer, something that actually invites people to have different perspectives. That's where the real conversation starts.
So, to really persuade your audience, you've basically got this toolkit of 3 classic appeals. You can tap into their feelings with emotional appeals, you can build your own credibility with ethical ones, or you can go straight for their brain with logic and facts. The most convincing arguments? They almost always use a clever mix of all 3.
Of course, a strong argument is nothing without strong evidence. And that means you have to know your sources. Seriously, being able to tell the difference between a super credible, peer-reviewed scholarly source and, say, a popular magazine article, that is absolutely key to building your own credibility as a writer.
Okay, this next part is where things get really deep and, honestly, super interesting. We're going to talk about the connection between the language we use, who we are, and these bigger structures of power.
So first off, what is standardized English anyway? It's really important to get this. It's not some naturally better or correct version of the language. Nope. It's actually a very specific dialect that, over a long time, got the stamp of approval from powerful institutions. Think schools, the government, big business.
And this quote from the linguist Max Weinreich just nails it. A standard language is a dialect with an army and a navy. It perfectly captures this idea that standardized English became the standard not because it was somehow superior, but because it was the language of the people with the power, the army and the navy.
And recognizing that history is so important, it forces us to respect all the different ways people speak and to really question the hidden biases that have shaped what we consider standard. And that's a huge point in EasyWriter. All forms of English are valid, and they all carry their own kind of power.
All right, we're in the home stretch. Let's close the loop on this whole writing journey by focusing on 2 final steps that, honestly, most people skip: sharing and reflecting.
Your work isn't really truly finished until it gets in front of other people. It can feel a little scary, but when you share something that you're passionate about, you give other people a chance to join the conversation. Seriously, don't let all that hard work and your unique perspective just die on your hard drive.
And now for the final piece of the puzzle, reflection. Now, I know this can feel like busy work, but it's not. It's an incredibly powerful tool for what experts call writing to learn. It helps you lock in what you've learned, it lets you see how your own brain works, and it totally sets you up to be an even smarter, more critical thinker for whatever you tackle next.
So I want to leave you with this really profound question from the writer Gloria Anzaldúa. It's such a powerful reminder that when you write, you're not just shaping an argument or an essay, you're shaping yourself. And that, right there, is the real power, the real opportunity of making